Life full of second chances.
Hey everybody,
Everybody,
welcome to Dating God's Way.
Second chances
Come on in the
coming
room.
for others.
Come on, Dating God's Way. Y'all come on in here on this late Tuesday night.
Rebirth.
Trying to start an hour
Face
later.
hey everybody,
Sacrifice.
Hey everybody.
Face.
happy Tuesday,
Tada, tada. Tada, tada. Hey Tara.
happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday. Here we go.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Tuesday.
Oh my God, let us know who's here. Hey. Hey.
Y'all come on in the room. Come on in the room. Let's have a discussion. Hey.
Left for the power, thousand by the hour. Watching since I divided empires. Here, I wear the world on my sleeve. Ambition to dream.
Welcome to Dating God's Way.
What else do I need? I'm like a beast, nothing least. Strapped up in
Welcome,
me.
welcome. Hey, daughter Michelle. Hey, daughter Kanish.
Trapped in my brain, driving me insane.
Everybody come on in.
Down on me like acid rain. My back's against the wall. Time's my enemy. Desire for something higher won't let me be. It burns just like fire, keeping me energy. I'm pushing for something higher, dog. Where would I be?
Come on in here.
Hard work, no sleep, sacrifice was life.
As we begin to get started,
God's Way.
Dating God's Way.
With this beat. Back to the hustle.
Hey, back to the grind.
Back to the
And it's been a grind, but I'm excited.
Yeah, we at it again. Yeah,
We at it again.
Impact, we at it again.
Impact, we at it again.
We at it again.
All right.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome,
Hey.
welcome to Dating God's Way tonight. Glad to see you guys. Hey,
Yes.
Conte. Hey there. Welcome.
I'll tell you. Kibati. Let me.
Yeah.
I need to close my door.
All right. Hey guys, welcome to tonight's edition of Dating God's Way. Glad to be back. Last week we were off, and this week we're late, so we're glad to be back. That's it. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. I would not miss this for nothing. Pastor E tried to leave me in the dust. I was like, no. No, can't have it without me. Enough of that. I miss my Dating God's Way family. Hey, Mom Vanessa. Hey, hello. Hey, look, I need y'all to say hello to me because I can't see you join using this method of technology that we have. So I can't see when you join. I only can see when you join when you say hello.
Yeah.
So say hello, say hi, say that you're here, that you're in the house, as me and E and you. Hey, Brother Terry, hello.
Hey there.
As me and Pastor E start our discussion, our conversation, and it's about what is it, Pastor E?
What is what?
What is our topic tonight?
All right. So tonight we're talking about Can You Hear Me? The Art of Listening. So welcome to tonight's Dating God's Way. I'm going to call tonight's Dating God's Way the Counseling Corner. Okay.
Oh, hey, Pastor, I was thinking on my way home tonight, I was like, you know what? I think we're going to make this a mini series. I think listening is one of those subjects that's going to take maybe a couple of nights to do.
Wow. Okay. Brother Cavante, you got it. You got your series, Brother Cavante.
I like a good series. And so, yes. So here we are. The Art of Listening.
Yeah.
This is number 1 in the series.
All right. Yeah. So you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
I see you got the new graphic going on, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you like the new graphic?
I see you. I see you. You got a new skin, the new borders and
Oh, the
stuff.
new border. Yes, as well. Absolutely.
All right.
All right, let's get in it. And as I make some adjustments to my screen here. All right, and so let's get into some statistics first before we even get into tonight's discussion. So this was a survey conducted that talks about communication problems. Pastor Will was the most common factor that leads to divorce at 65%.
Wow.
65% was about communication problems.
Wow, that's a lot of percent.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah, that's a lot of percent.
Also, 43% followed up by saying that the couple had an inability to resolve issues.
Wow, the couple had the inability to.
The couple had the inability to resolve issues.
And I think that word couples is key. It's not the individual had the inability, but the couples had the individual. So that's okay. Oh, these numbers are heavy. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So what were some of the causes of the communication breakdown in marriage? Okay. Blame, nagging, complaining was the complaint of 70% of men.
I can see that.
Followed by lack of sufficient appreciation from their spouse at 65%.
And I can see that too.
Okay, so the big two for men was the nagging and complaining and the insufficient appreciation.
Yeah.
Okay. For women, there was 83% said lack of validation for feelings and opinions, followed by 56% who said their spouse talks about himself too much.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Wow. Wow.
Can you see that?
Whew. Okay, wait a minute. This may not be a mini series. This may be an elongated counseling course. My goodness, look at all these high percentage of numbers. Okay, let's keep going. Keep at it.
You know what we're talking about tonight, Pastor Will. When I'm involved in couples counseling and or marriage counseling, I do both. I counsel couples who are not yet married. I counsel couples who are going to get married, and I sometimes counsel couples who are thinking about getting married. Okay, so those are kind of the categories, and couples who are married, right?
Right.
And so what I find is that when we start talking about couples that might be considering marriage or a long-term relationship, one of the things that we do is deal with communication. Yeah. Because Pastor Will, what we see is that each person is coming into the relationship with a certain amount of or the lack of communication skills.
Right.
Right. And that has an effect on the long-term relationship.
Right. They come into it, or we come into it. I think everybody comes into a relationship with their own mode of communications, their own way of doing things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you got if you have everyone coming in with their own kind of communication and ways that they communicate, without building a communication together, right?
Yeah.
You know, even though the Tower of Babel was bad,
it was bad,
but they came together because they communicated as one to build.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though they built the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it was the power of communication and building together. And so communication was so when we saw the Tower of Babel destroyed, what did we see God do? Split their communication.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So it tells us that communication and building goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. So since you already went to the Bible, one of the things I'm going to encourage you guys to do tonight on Dating God's Way, and I'm going to, this is for you guys that know me from church, you know that we like to write, take notes, and tonight is a take notes night. If you really want to improve your communication skills, and or if you really want to have long-lasting relationships with people, including a boyfriend, a spouse, or a partner, today or one day, it's important to take notes. Take notes from tonight so you can ensure that you are not a part of the statistic. What do I mean by that? That what the numbers that we see here is, as Pastor Willie said, it's a couples thing, but it becomes a me thing when I do not take the art of listening seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of listener are you? Okay, that's your first question tonight. What kind of listener are you? We're going to go through some different communication styles of listening tonight. And I want you to think about, what kind of listener are you? Okay, we're going to do that. Before we do that, wait a minute. Before we do that, let's get into one more scripture. Proverbs 1:5 says, a wise man or woman, we know this, this was gender neutral in this context, a wise man will hear and increase in learning. And a man of understanding will acquire wise counsel. Wow. So remember these words because they will be important.
Wow.
A wise man will hear and increase in learning. A man of understanding will acquire wise counsel.
Wow.
The art of listening.
Will hear and increase. Wow. That's a preaching word right now. To hear and to increase.
Oh, yes.
And then a wise man, I mean, the Bible is clear. A wise man, what a wise man does. A wise man will, not maybe or should, but a wise man will acquire wise counsel.
Yeah, because that man has become a man of understanding. Right. Now they will acquire wise counsel.
Right. Wow.
Because they heard and increased in learning.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into some. Remember, the question that we're asking tonight is, what kind of listener are you? Okay, so you're asking yourself that question. What kind of listener? What kind of
listener am I? I think I'm gonna be transparent.
Do you want to wait till we get to the answers, or you going to just give it?
No, I'm gonna wait till we get to the answers. Okay. So and then I'll be transparent.
Okay.
About what kind of listener I am.
Okay. Let's get to the first one. So the first one we're going to talk about tonight is an active listener. Okay. So active listening includes treating listening as an active process rather than a passive one. Okay. So we have lost a lot of people.
Okay.
Because listening is supposed to be an active process, right? For most people, talking is an active process, not listening.
Yeah.
Okay. For most people, listening is passive, and we're going to talk about what that means soon. Okay. So this means participating in conversation rather than acting as an audience.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
So as an active listener, I'm showing you that I'm listening by encouraging sharing and striving to understand what you are saying. That's active listening. Okay? Active listening is my ability not to listen to you passively like I'm an only, but also striving to understand what you are saying, okay? So that I'm making sure that I'm an active part of what's being stated.
Man, I want to get into this somewhat. but then I feel like I'm gonna run ahead, but I haven't seen all your slides.
You have not seen all my slides yet.
And I don't want to run ahead, but I want to get into this.
I think my next slide is going to help us get deeper into it.
Okay.
Want to try that?
Let's try that.
Okay. So the 3 points of active listening. Okay. 3 points for active listening. Number one, you're going to show your listening. Okay. That's number one. You're going to show your listening. You're going to put away your distractions. Y'all ready for this? You're going to put away your distractions. Okay. So you're going to have to put away your phone, the TV, put away distractions in order to show that you're listening.
You know, where I work at, in the conference room, in some of the conference rooms, they have this posted on the wall, like, don't look at your phone while you're in the meeting. You know, show that you are interested in the topic being discussed. You know, and
I know with that, Pastor.
That's on a flyer in the meeting.
Yeah,
in the meeting room. Well, you know, I plead the fifth.
Yeah. So yeah, watching TV, using your phone, doing other things while the person is speaking shows the speaker that their words are not important. Okay. So when somebody is distracted listening to me, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Because these things are always in the forefront of my mind, I often stop talking. Okay. That shuts down communication for me. I can't even lie about it. That's a just transparent moment. If I'm ever talking to you and you start doing something else and you see I slow down in my talking, that means that you're not active listening and I'm not wasting my time.
Now I remember, like, in the early years of Vision Impact Center, you know, you all was trying to rush to get things on social media as I was preaching, you know, rush to get revelation to social media. And, you know, in the middle of preaching, I'm like, why everybody on their phone? You know, and it was even preaching, like, it was very distracting to be presenting and to be ministering and to see people on their phone, even though they were sharing the word along with me, you know, but until I could understand that, you know, it was Kanisha know the early years. I can see this. I see how this played out.
Yeah. You know, I see this most often with the boys.
Yeah.
Okay? When I'm talking, I do not want you texting. I do not want you on YouTube. I do not want you. If I'm talking to you, I'm about to go ahead of myself, but you need to be active listening. That you need to be active listening. I ain't gonna say all the things yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Use number two, show your listening by using your verbal and nonverbal communication. Okay.
Yeah. Body
language and short verbal cues, right, that match the speaker's effect, right? If somebody's excited, you show excitement.
Yeah. That
shows interest and empathy. Okay. So when somebody is talking to me, one of the ways that I active listen is for real. Okay. Right. But it's really important that your verbal and your body language actually matches the person and what they're conveying. If somebody's telling you somebody is, you know, they suffer the loss, you're not gonna be like, wow, okay, because that doesn't match, right? Go ahead.
No, I'm reading some of the comments, so okay.
I can't see comments tonight, you guys. So if I'm not responding to comments, it's because I'm doing the presentation, so I can't do both at the same time. So sorry about that, you guys. I can't see any comments tonight, so I'm just gonna do. So I'm gonna do presentation. Pastor Will's gonna do comments. You know when to put comments on Pastor Will as needed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And so you're nodding in agreement. You're reacting with emotional content, smiling. Okay. Somebody sadness. Oh man, concern. Okay. Right. Eye contact, actually looking at the person while they're talking to you. Now that's the one that really get me with the boys. If I'm talking to you, look me in my eyes. I want to know that you're present with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All of these things are actually active listening that will help you in relationships, also in the marketplace, Pastor Will. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
That your confidence, the confidence that someone has in you, and your ability to convey things with keeping eye contact, with nonverbal cues, actually is important, Pastor.
Because people want to know that they are being heard. Even if they saying the dumbest thing that you ever heard.
That's absolutely correct.
So
that's absolutely correct.
They still want to know that even their dumbest thing is being heard.
That's correct. Because if you're saying you're listening, and if you don't have time to listen, say that.
Right.
Either show you're listening or say, I don't have time right now.
Exactly.
Okay. It's a respect thing.
It's a respect thing.
Okay. Number 2, encourage sharing. Okay. By asking open-ended questions.
Yeah.
So how did you feel when that happened? Okay. Specifically. Can you tell me more about that? What did you like about that? How did you do that? Right? All of those open-ended questions show that you were actually listening, right? Because those give the person an opportunity for the person to be heard, show that you are listening, not for yes or no, but you're actually communicating. Okay? Listening is a communication. Right, Pastor?
Absolutely.
So communication is not something that's one-sided. Even if it's listening, it's two-sided. Okay? So you're asking open-ended questions because you actually want to learn more. That's active listening.
In IT, there are protocols, right?
Yeah.
And so there are protocols and ports. And so based on your protocol, in order to receive the communication, that port has to be open.
Yeah.
But if that port is closed, no matter what protocol you're using, that protocol is ineffective because your port is closed to communication.
Yeah.
And so when we say that your port is closed, we actually say that your port is not listening.
Yeah.
And I see that when we don't do some of these things, we're pretty much closing our port of communication. Even though somebody is talking on one side, our ports are closed, so we're really not receiving. Even if it's something we're supposed to be receiving and our port is closed off, we are of no use.
Yeah, because you can't support someone adequately if you really don't understand what's happening with them.
Exactly.
Okay. So you encourage sharing by asking open-ended questions and using reflections, right? So if somebody says that they're having a hard week at work, their boss has given them a lot of work to do and they just can't keep up. If you're the listener, you can be an active listener by, it sounds like you're doing your best, but there's too much work. And that sounds really stressful. In other words, I heard you. Okay. I heard you. Okay. Not necessarily I solved you, but I heard you. Because sometimes people don't want to be solved. They want to be heard. Right. Yeah. And depending on what capacity you are in, right? What capacity you are in, depending on what capacity, sometimes in the work capacity, things have to be solved, right? So we understand different capacities call for different things. But in the relational capacity, sometimes I want to be heard, right? I don't want to be solved. Mm-hmm. Okay, that encourages sharing. And the last one is strive to understand. Okay, be present in the moment. Paying attention to that person's body language, that person's cues, focusing on listening to that person, and then listen with an open mind.
Yeah. Okay?
Understand their point of view. Even if you don't agree, understand their point of view. Okay? Yeah. So that means you got to avoid forming an opinion or a judgment. until you fully understand their perspective. This is active listening.
This is it.
This is it, Pastor.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. You got anything you want to say about active listening?
No, I think you are you rocking. You rocking and rolling. I'm actively listening.
Awesome. So remember, we're asking ourselves tonight, what kind of listener am I? Okay. So let's get into some problematic listening styles. Let's get into that. Some problematic listening styles. Okay.
I see this subject really got you revved up because you went slide crazy.
Oh yes, this is call it the counseling corner because this is a counseling subject. So when you came up with this topic, it was really like this is my space because this is where I spend most of my time counseling in. Every couple that comes to me wants the communications module. This is true. And just to be very clear, Dating God's Way, our church family, you get this for free. Some of this for free. Most people pay for it. So let me just be straight up tonight. This part of my counseling material, but we're giving it to you tonight. 2 problematic forms of communication. Oh, I see now. You want to go to the question first?
Yeah, let's go to the question because it's Yeah,
so is this something you communicate before you start talking? I just need to vent, or talk this out. And the reality of this event is both people need to learn good communication skills, right? And so we should be listening. Both active listeners should be listening to respond actively first and not to respond, right? And so that should always be the answer, that I'm listening to fully understand what you are saying, right? And I'm looking for cues that you may want my opinion, right? That's the way an active listener works. And so we're not communicating necessarily like, I just need to vent. When you get into marriage, sometimes you have to do that because you become each other's problem solver, right? But prior to that, this is a practice that we're trying to get you to pick up. It's the active listening without solving. That would be the place to start all the time. When you say, Pastor Will?
No, yeah, that's good. Hey, but let me pause for a minute. I want to shout out all my family members that when I see you and you be like, oh yeah, I see y'all all the time on Dating God's Way. I just want to shout all of y'all out. Thank y'all for joining us every Tuesday or whenever you jump in. I love you. So yeah, I'm sorry, Pastor. Yeah, I just had to throw that.
Okay, that's okay. Yes. The people. Hey, the people. Yes, we love it. The family people. Yes. So 2 kinds of problematic listeners. Okay, one, a person that expresses passive communication. Okay, so during passive communication, a person prioritizes the needs, wants, and feelings of others, even at their own expense.
Yeah.
The person doesn't express their own needs or doesn't stand up for themselves. Okay. This can lead to be taken advantage of, even by well-meaning people who are unaware of the passive communicator's needs and wants. Okay. So this is the type of person that, because they do not communicate their needs, they are always wondering the needs or feelings or wants of other people. And so they're soft-spoken and quiet. Okay. They allow others to take advantage of them. They're prioritizing what somebody else may need, what somebody else may feel. Okay. They have poor eye contact when communicating. They look down or look away. They don't express their own needs or wants, and they lack confidence while communicating.
Well, sometimes I communicate like this a lot because of the next one you're going into, because of the aggressive communicating. And sometimes you just don't want to hear all that yak, yak, yak. And so you just let them talk and you just say, yeah, okay, all right, whatever, because it's just like the back and forth. You just don't want to go through the back and forth.
We're going to get into it in a minute, Pastor.
Okay.
We'll get into it in a minute because I definitely agree. Yes, we'll get into it in a minute. Let's get the definitions going before we get into me and you, because we getting there. Aggressive communication. Through aggressive communication, a person expresses that only their needs, only their wants, and only their feelings matter. The other person is bullied, and their needs are ignored. Okay. And so someone who is an aggressive communicator is easily frustrated, speaks in a loud or overbearing way, unwilling to compromise, use of criticism, humiliation, and domination, frequently interrupts or does not listen, disrespectful towards others. Okay. So let's get into both of these problematic communicators. Because if we had to get on a scale, I would say that in our problematic communication over our marriage years, you would be at the top, I would be at the bottom.
You say what?
In our problematic communication years of marriage, you would be at the top, I would be at the bottom.
Oh, okay. We'd be on this list.
Yes. Right.
I was trying to figure out
passive and aggressive. Passive at the top, aggressive at the bottom.
Hey, look, Kimberly asks, so while we getting into this, Kim asks, so is there such thing as being an over communicator?
We'll talk about it.
Oh, right.
Question. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it.
All right. Okay, so yeah, so I was the passive and you were the aggressive in our communication years.
In our communication years. In the beginning of our communication years. That is correct.
Yes.
And on our start days.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You know, to my defense though, Pastor Will.
What I was saying wasn't about you, but go ahead.
No, to my defense is, you know, I do think that in the when we talk about the last one, that is the way in which we should communicate. I do think that sometimes when you have a person who is passive, right, and a person who is more aggressive or assertive together, that combination often does bring out these things, right? The passive person becomes more passive and the aggressive person becomes more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my passivity also, for me, came from a pride place. Or I learned how to have pride in that.
Yeah. You gonna shut down.
Well, not only shut down, because in my mind, I was like, you can do all that talking, you can't beat me anyway. So that's you know.
Yeah, pride place. Yeah.
That's the pride place, right? Yeah, you won on that level. But on any other level, you know, you can't beat me anyway, so you don't matter.
Yeah. Now you're gonna use communication as a manipulation device.
Absolutely.
Yep. You're gonna use communication now to manipulate me instead of actively having a conversation where we both contribute something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it said, can you have both? I think people can exercise both of these ways of communication, but they both wrong. Okay, they are both bad ways to communicate.
True.
Right? Being passive in communication, it shows that you do not value. Okay, it shows that you do not value yourself enough to express what it is that needs to be stated. Right? And assertive communication shows that you're not willing to listen so that you both can get on the same page. You just plow in with what you need, what you want, and how you feel.
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, in these, you reading the comments.
I am now, yes.
So I think just in this communication piece, I mean, just going back to what the first slide was about those percentages, and it talked about couples are not communicating, right? And just because one either have these tools of communications or maybe a great communicator, but if the couple isn't communicating, if the couple is failing in communication, then the relationship is on the tip of failing also.
That's absolutely correct, because you know, I came into our relationship doing a lot of communicating, right? I communicated a lot with my best friend. I communicated a lot with my family. I did a lot of communicating. So I had the wrong perception of, now because of that, you are not going to have this communication. And that's not true, right? Just because I feel like I'm good at communicating, I do a lot of communicating, that does not have anything to do with us. Now we need to learn how to communicate to each other.
Right.
It's individual and it's personal, right? And so it's not just, I had to learn to communicate with my best friend. I had to learn to communicate with, you know, my grandmother, different people in my family. We had to learn to communicate with each other. So it was not just automatic, right?
Yeah. You know, even in the job market, you know, when you go to one job, how you communicate on one job isn't necessarily the way they communicate at the next job or at your promotion that you get. How you communicated flipping hamburgers ain't the way you communicate when you run in the warehouse. You know, it's two different communications, and it's two different areas, two different cultures that you're going in and out of. And so as a couple, when you communicate together, you coming from the communication of your friends, the communication of your family, and now you're trying to come into this communication as a couple that you now are, like I'm going back to my Tower of Babel, now you're going into a building phase of building a relationship. Your communication is going to change and has to adapt to now the building of this relationship and the building of this enterprise that you are building called dating towards marriage.
Yeah, or marriage itself, right?
Or marriage itself.
Okay, so we want to come out of these, right? If you have your phone, take a picture. That's it. Take a picture. If you are writing down things and you know that you are a passive communicator or aggressive one, you got to come out of that. Okay, got to come out of that, right? Because in one way you are being taken advantage of, and on the other way you are bullying people and ignoring their needs. Okay, neither one of those things are correct. Okay, but what is it then? Where are we trying to get to? We're trying to get to assertive communication. Okay, assertive communication, not aggressive, assertive. So assertive communication means that you're participating in a conversation, right? Wait a minute. No, this isn't it. Wait a minute. Hold up. Something happened. Wait a minute. This ain't what I want. Okay, I'm going to give you the definition. Give me 2 seconds. Wait a minute. Because that active listening got picked up with assertive. That ain't it. Okay, here we go. So assertive communication, let me give it to y'all. Assertive communication is when a person stands up.
Hold on. You got on the screen assertive listening.
Yes. Okay. Well, let me give the definition for assertive communication. Okay. It's the same thing. Assertive listening, assertive communication, the same words. I'm just interchanging them out.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So assertive communication or assertive listening is when a person stands up for their own needs and wants while also taking in consideration the needs and the wants of the other person without behaving passively or aggressively.
Okay, that's cool. That's not the slide you got up.
I know. I just told you. I made a mistake on the last slide.
Okay, cool.
I cannot correct it at this moment.
I thought you went and I thought you was thinking. Okay, good.
Okay, I cannot correct it at this moment.
Okay, so
is that okay?
I'm gonna do this. Yep, that's fine. But I'm gonna just go to us and let you read that. Then we'll go back to because I don't want to confuse anybody. Like I was just confused. Go ahead. So, we have to communicate. We can't communicate one thing and then post another thing, right? We have to.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Okay, you talk while I finish this.
Okay. So I don't even know what to say because you got all the points and I have no slides. But yes. Yeah. But going back to our story, right? Because that's what I can talk about. Our story is that our communications had to come to a point where we could listen and hear each other effectively and then weigh to determine, am I listening to do something about, or am I listening to listen, and that's the most and that's the most effective thing that is needed right now, right? So for a man, for a husband, you know, early on, my listening was to fix. You know, I listened to you. Now I'm like, now what should I do about everything that I heard?
Yeah, let me hurry
Right?
up and fix this.
Yeah, let me hurry up and fix this. Let me make everything all right, or whatever. But you know, um,
Story time dad. Go ahead.
what's that?
Yvette call you story time
A
dad.
story time dad. Okay. Yes, I am story time. But that wasn't effective listening, because many times you weren't communicating for me to do something. You were communicating so that you could be heard.
That's correct.
And sometimes when nobody else will hear you, as your husband, I needed to avail myself at any time you needed to be that listening ear.
Yeah.
And that was effective enough.
Yes. Yes. So I think, when we're getting into this, Pastor Will, we're talking about listening, and listening. We're talking about the art of listening, or listening. Let me say it this way. We're talking about listening as an art of communication. Let me say it that way. That listening is, we're learning tonight that listening is just not a one man sport, but listening is a two man. Okay, it takes two people in listening. Okay, so getting back to our slide that's now been corrected. Assertive communication is when a person can stand up for their own needs and wants while taking the other person into consideration without behaving passively or aggressively. Okay, let me give you I will give you a way in which this happens. Okay, so let's say that Pastor Willie comes to me and he says that, I've been feeling frustrated because I've been doing most of the chores at the house, right? I understand that you're busy, but I really need some help, right? How can we make this work? So now, as the person who's listening to Pastor Willie and what he just said, I heard him say that he's frustrated because he's been carrying the weight of the chores. And he understands that I'm busy, okay? But he needs help. And so now, as the person responding, I'm not going to be passive and just say, I hear what you're saying. Like, I heard what you're saying, but, I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry that I can't make this work. I'm so sorry that I'm overwhelmed. I'm so sorry. Okay, that's passive. Okay, I'm so sorry that, I'm just a bad person. I can't ever get anything right. Okay, so that's not me acknowledging anything that he said, but now I'm taking on a woe is me mentality about, instead of taking ownership of what's been stated, my passive communication is for me to take on a woe is me type of attitude, right? Or I start shutting down in the conversation while he's talking and I stop talking. Oh, okay. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I understand that. Okay. All of that is passive, right? Or I become aggressive and I start to, well, you don't understand what I'm going through. Like, I got a lot going on. Like, it's crazy for me. Like, you don't understand me. That's aggressive communication. Okay. So either of those styles are wrong. We should not passively start taking on a lack of ownership. Oh, I'm just, but I just, like, but so that, okay, we know. Okay, we do know, right? But that's not taking responsibility. Instead, assertive communication would be to say, right, right, I'm going to take responsibility for the fact that, yes, I have been busy and I have not been doing my share of the work, right? I have not been doing my share of the work around the house, right? And I really feel like I will do my part, but I will also contribute so we can have somebody to help clean this house. I'm going to tell y'all, this is a true story, okay? It's a true story. That I hear your frustration, and I'm going to do as much as I can to help. And these are the ways that I feel like I can contribute now. But I also can contribute by making sure that we have somebody to help the help. Okay, and so that is a way to communicate that stands up for my needs, right? And stating that I can't add another thing to my plate. I hear you, and this is what I will do this week. But moving forward, this is what I suggest we do, and then we can start having a dialogue back and forth. Is that clear, Pastor Will?
Yeah, it's clear to me. Question is it clear to everybody else?
Somebody said do another one. Okay, do another one. Okay, and so let me give you another one. So your partner says that I'm having a hard time sleeping when you have the TV on. Okay. What if you use headphones or you move to the other room, while you looking at TV? Okay. Okay. Y'all ready for this? Okay. And so the responder has the ability to say, okay, I heard what you stated. Okay. I heard that you have a hard time sleeping when the TV is on. Okay. And as I'm considering your needs, okay, could we communicate that we will accommodate one another by making sure that we're both in bed at a certain time? Okay, because the TV is on because you're not here. And so something is keeping me busy till you come back to bed. That's now both of us communicating our needs to one another. Okay. And that person can then respond to what's been stated, stating their need. Okay. Stating their need and also responding to what's been communicated. Is that clear, Pastor Will?
That's funny.
It's funny what? Did I use two of our examples?
Yeah, it's real funny.
That's what we're supposed to do. We got to use our own examples. It don't work if you don't use your own examples.
It's real funny.
Okay.
It's real funny. Somebody asked, can you use an example for dating, for those that are dating or courting?
Oh, sure I can. Absolutely. So one of the things could be, for people that are unmarried, one of the things that could be stated is, I feel like we haven't been spending enough time, communicating with one another. I'm feeling like there is some, we just texting all the time. We never actually like meet up or do anything anymore or whatever. So that could be the communication that goes to the person. So the person's communication back is, what I hear you saying is that you want to spend more time together. And some of the reasons why I've been unable to do that is because right now I'm working and I'm in school, right? And so what I'm thinking a way to accommodate this is, I do have, a break on Fridays at whatever o'clock, and we can do a lunchtime, but that's right, all I can give right now. But after school is over, I'm willing to come back to this conversation and be able to give more differently. And we can video, okay? We can add video to the way that we are communicating right now. That can be a way in which you communicate your needs, because you are in school, you are overwhelmed. Okay, you just can't do a whole lot of out right now, and you're working. That could be a way to communicate that communicates your needs while considering the other person and what they need. Okay.
So, doesn't this also on a negative level? Doesn't this lead to a person feeling like, well, I'm always making these sacrifices. I'm the one that's always, assertive in this communication. I'm the one that always have to come up with the solution or dial myself back. And because you never compromise with, your needs or whatever.
Yeah. So one thing that I always tell couples in this situation, because this often happens, that one person is learning to be a good communicator and the other person is not. Okay, that does happen. And I will say that in those cases, the thing that's really important is that you and your partner are learning good communication skills together. If you have I will say, Pastor Will, if you remember when we first got married, we had horrible communication, right? But
it was the worst.
It was the worst.
For years. For us, for years.
Yes, for years. I'm sorry, guys. I just realized that I don't have my computer plugged up. It was the worst for years, right? But one of the things that really helped us, do you remember one of the things that really helped us?
What would that be? Kids?
No, definitely not the kids. That was another level of love them jokers, but that was another level of communication. What really helped us, right?
What's that?
Was when we went away and we did all of our little exercises together, and we had those moments that communicated. That really helped us. You didn't think so, but the intentionality of doing our, love language tests and talking about different things and doing all those little tests and stuff, that was helpful, Will.
You love the love language. You love a good test. Goodness grief.
We grew. The communication grew because in secret, what I was really doing was I was helping us learn how to communicate.
You was hypnotizing me.
Kim, that's what you got to learn. That's your problem, Kim. I saw your comment. That's your problem. You're doing it overtly. You got to do some things behind the scenes. Okay? Because both people need to learn communication. So that's one way, Pastor Will, that you really can get beyond that is you have to be willing to be teachable with the other person. Right? Yeah. Allow the other person to learn some of the things you're learning about communication.
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
Okay? We're going to get to questions in 2 seconds. This is my last slide, y'all. So this is what assertive listening looks like. You clearly state what you need and what you want. You have eye contact. You listen to the other person without communication. You use appropriate speaking volume. You study your tone of voice. And you use confident body language. Okay? Now, let me say this about assertive listening. Appropriate speaking volume, for me, this is my appropriate speaking volume. Okay, I can't go underneath this. These decimals, I can't go underneath these decimals. So this is a little bit, for me, it's a little bit variable. But yes, I can't go beneath this. I just can't do it. I got preaching and singer's voice. So anyway, these are some things that will help you with assertive listening. Okay. So the question is there a balance in this? Where people don't mistake assertive with aggressive. Let me tell you one way that people won't mix up the two is because assertive is about clearly stating what you need while also communicating and responding to what the other person needs, right? Aggressive is you just talking about what you need and that's it. You don't go into consideration of the other person and there's no melding together. Okay? So is there a mix of this that shouldn't happen? Yes. There is a mix of this that shouldn't happen. You can't just start with what you need and then the solution is only considering you. That's the mix that should not happen. Right, Pastor Will?
Yes. Yeah, there's a mix that should not happen. I mean,
that's the mix that should not happen.
I mean, you have to, I think we all should desire to be assertive listeners. In our own, character and in our own characteristics, but be that assertive listener to really communicate with our what you call it, our spouse or couples, partners.
Yeah, dating person.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of late, so I'm kind of getting
Yeah, I know it's kind of, yeah. So is there such thing as being an over communicator? I think that from my perspective, as Pastor Will was about to get into earlier, he definitely would say I'm definitely an over communicator. Let's get into it, Pastor.
I was talking to somebody at work today, and I had to stop him So I said, you're talking too much. I don't need everything that you're saying. Trim it down. Just give me these things so that we could complete our day effectively. So are you an over communicator? I don't think you're no longer, you're not an over communicator to me anymore. Now, I don't know if that's because I now understand your communication style, or you trimmed it down to only give us what we need to be effective for the then and now.
Oh, I definitely trimmed it down. Look, the reality is this, right? Is that, you know, when you're in a relationship with someone, you desire the relationship to get to a certain place, things that you see that need to be fixed. Like, when in our earlier years of marriage, I was all about that. I wanted us to be great. I wanted us to make it. And so I over communicated because I had a strong desire for things to go well. That's very true. And so I just, as you said, why we got to talk about everything? We got to talk about everything. That's true. Right. And for me, it was right. Because I felt like the intentionality of communication was going to help us. So I had to learn how to trim back, because then I learned that you weren't listening to everything I said. So I needed to be very specific to what I stated so that the intent came forward. So yes, I did trim down. That's correct.
So even on our going away times, because, you know, we have our going away weekends, our staycations or whatever, I prepare myself for the over communications, because as a couple now, I got to let you be you.
That's it.
Right. I can't keep taking those pieces away from you. And you have so well adapted those pieces to me. And I have to it's not a force myself, but be willing to adapt myself to the over communication and get over it and let you be the over communicator that you are. Because in the what I found out in the over communication, there is a lot there that I miss out on if I don't allow it to come out.
Yeah, I also say though, you know, in dealing with the over communicator, it's also dealing with the under communicator, right? And there is a such thing as both. When there is a person in a relationship that does not communicate and does not feel like there is a need to communicate, things get missed, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the balance that you and I had to come to. I'm the over communicator and you were the under communicator. You like, I'm not communicating unless it is a dire need, okay? Yeah. I'm not communicating unless the house on fire. And so I do think that we had to come to this space of, you know, that was a growth space for us. Learning how to trim and you learning how to bring was a needed growth space for us.
Well, Yvette asked a question, and I'll say this, Jack, as your pastor, I want you to over communicate. I want you to speak. I want to hear where you are and where your heart, because that's how I can serve you also, right? These years of being married now has helped me be a better listener. It has helped me understand over communications. But here's what I said on Sunday. It also helps me understand that everything that's spoken is not my burden.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
And that makes me a better pastor for you.
Yes.
Is that I'm able to listen and able to help you with the weight, but not carry your weight.
Absolutely. And that's in marriage, that's in pastoring, that's in friendship, is I can listen to you without taking on your burden.
And that's what I had to learn about Pastor E's over communication, is that I would take on no burden. I would take on that communication would become my burden.
Yeah.
Everything that she said, her work, her friends, whatever it may be, church life, whatever it may be, I took those things on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's why I did like a lot of over communication, because I was like, man, what now? Right? It's like
I think to this point though, Pastor Will, I think it's important to state you know, a lot of my over communication is because I do so many things. I'm not only am I passionate, but I'm an executive, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a pastor. At that time I was an elder. You know, I'm doing homeschool. So I needed a way to communicate all of the 15,000 pieces, right? And I had to also learn to, you know, have my best friend as a communication, have, you know, my girlfriends, my good girlfriends as a communication. I had to learn to have more outlets than Pastor Will, right? Because when I'm giving all the things to him, he like, this a lot, right? He like, you a lot, right? And I'm like, right, you like that I'm a lot, okay? But you don't like when I'm a lot when it got to come out like this. So a person that carries a lot also needs to communicate a lot. That is true, right? Because if not, that stuff gets inside of you and then you say, you blow up, right? And so I learned that I have to get it out of me. I cannot have these things that are my responsibility that I need to carry and not communicate them. Because if not, I will implode.
But go back, it was like your second slide. And it's also determining, is my pastor my audience or is he my, what was that second one?
The second one I'm looking for now. The second one?
The audience or it was two types.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got a little excitable. You said, is it what? Which one?
Am I the audience or am I the something else? Like, what's the second one?
The second one is scripture.
And then what's the first one?
This one, the survey. This one. Oh, acting as an audience. Participating or acting as an audience.
Right. Right. And so that's what I want to say to all of y'all that have pastors. Like, your pastor is not your audience.
No.
Right.
They actually are problem solvers, right? And so
exactly,
we're not supposed to just have active listening as a pastor. We're actually supposed to be giving wisdom. Right. It's a part of the role. And I do think the important part that we're talking about tonight, that you brought up, Sister Yvette, is that the going back to, it is the second slide, really, Pastor Will, because just in my relationship with Pastor Will, I had to learn to listen, hear, and increase in learning Pastor Will, that when I come to my pastor, I'm coming for wise counsel. I'm coming for godly counsel. I'm coming so that I can be listening and increase in learning. And I do think that that's the difference between if I'm, you know, frankly, just listening to me and Pastor Will having a conversation, you know, as husband and wife, or if he's having a conversation, he's my pastor. So if I'm having a conversation with him as my pastor, it's a different approach in how I'm approaching the conversation. Okay, when we're having a conversation as a pastor, I'm listening and I'm acquiring wise counsel.
And I think this is a good self-inflection for leaders and for pastors, is to ask yourself, you know what, am I being used as an audience or are they really using me as the wise counsel?
That's correct.
Because many times people will use you as their audience.
Yeah, let me throw these ideas by you and get your sign off on them so I can go do something stupid.
Yes. And you have to be careful, even if you're not a pastor, or you have to be careful that you're not somebody's audience. And you're just not wasting your energy thinking you counseling, but you really their amen corner.
Yeah, they sign off corner.
Right.
You know, I told you about that. Remember I told you about that? Yeah, but you didn't ask me what I thought. You told me about it as your audience, but you didn't ask me what I thought, because I could have told you that was dangerous. I could have told you what I saw coming ahead. I could have said something, not to change your mind, but to give you wisdom in how you move forward. Go do what you want to do. Okay, that's fine. But having the wisdom allows you to do what you're going to do, how you're going to do it.
You know, Bishop McCargo told me something years ago, and I've lived by this since he said it, is that, you know, I don't go to everything, because when I'm there, my being there is an approval of what's happening. I am the audience. I become a part of that audience. that witness. Even if I disagree, I'm there. You know, and I definitely live by that. You know, I don't like everything on Facebook because I'm not the audience. You know, I don't go everywhere because I'm not the audience.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be the sign off, and you won't use me as a sign off. My name can't be mentioned in that conversation as, oh, Will was there, so it's okay.
Oh, I told Pat to eat.
Yeah.
Nah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Active listening. Can you hit the art of listening? Active and assertive listening. That's what I hope you got from tonight. That it's your responsibility to listen to the people in your life, but also your responsibility to learn to communicate well. No one can serve you. People can't even love you properly if they don't know what's on your mind and your heart. If they don't know you, it's really hard to know how you want to be loved. My goodness, how you want to be treated. So it's important. Active and assertive. Be responsible for how you feel, what you feel. Communicate that while considering the other person. That's Dating God's Way tonight, Pastor Will. You got something else?
Awesome. I don't have nothing else. But thank you all for joining tonight. All the Dating God's Way family. And we would definitely see you next Tuesday evening.
Yes.
Yes.
You turn it up. Love you guys. Great session.
Love you guys.
Yes. Get to that communicating. Listen, communicate. Kind of loud. Oh, what happened? Okay, he muted himself. The music went away. But bye, guys. Love you guys. So glad you joined us tonight. Yep, great talk tonight.